What's happening, everybody? Welcome along to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. My name's Harry Colley. Thanks for joining me for the instant match reaction where Everton have taken another point on the road under David Moyes. It finished Everton 1, Brentford 1 at the G-Tech Community Stadium. We will come on to just how awful a stadium name that is in a bit. But I'm still trying to gather my thoughts. This is literally 4 minutes after the final whistle has gone that we're making this video. Let's start off, shall we, with the team news, where we found out pretty late in the day that Abdoulaye Doucouré would be the only change to the side that drew 2-2 with Manchester United at the weekend. His wife in labour, so he was given leave, which allowed Charlie Alcaraz to make only his second start since joining on loan from Flamengo in January. Of course, he started on the road against Crystal Palace, where he got a goal and an assist. He wasn't as prolific today, but then there are other players that we're going to talk about in a bit who also were not as prolific as they have been in recent weeks. And I think my initial summary here off the back of that 1-1 draw is that this was very much an Everton side who were running out of steam. We know that David Moyes now, with a 10-day break until Everton play Wolves away from home, are going over to the UAE for a warm weather training camp. It looks needed, and we do have to kind of in the sort of frustration of what has been the last couple of games, you know, many fans unhappy with the point at Man United having been 2-0 up. Many fans will be disappointed with today, elements of today to say the least. We know, and again, we'll come on to specific players, but we know not everybody was at the top of their game. But we do have to say it's a threadbare squad. It was great, by the way, to see Yusuf Trimiti back on the bench today. He didn't get onto the pitch, but it's clear that David Moyes has very, very limited options at his disposal, and he has done incredibly well, in my opinion, to go on the run that he has done. Remember, apart from the Aston Villa game, David Moyes is undefeated in the Premier League as Everton manager, aside from that first game in charge. So it's another point on the board. It takes us another point closer to that 40-point target that David Moyes has set his side. And as we said, it is now 10 days until the Toffees play again. So let's talk about the first half, a game and a half that was very end-to-end, but not in that super exciting flurry of chances, lots of shots on target. It was just a very kind of weird, one side takes the ball, takes possession, takes control, loses it, the other side tries to counter. We had moments where both sides were trying to slow the pace down and really frustrate their opponent, and then we also had flurries where both sides were quicker on the ball, quicker moving the ball, trying to create chances, but in those times seeing their opponent get many men behind the ball. In many ways, both playing very similar styles of football on a very kind of, yeah, I think both sides in quite similar form in not just the way they play, but also the fact that, you know, Brentford hadn't won a home game this calendar year. They looked quite nervous about that. They knew the run that Everton had been on. I think Everton may be hurting a little bit off the back of the draw at the weekend. And I think the longer this run goes on under David Moyes as well, the more expectation there's going to be to get results. So I think that comes with it a sense of nervousness as well. And I think one player that probably felt that more than most was Beto. Prior to today's game, 5 goals in 4 games, had done incredibly well, a man completely rejuvenated. And today, sadly, a combination of a lack of composure and also Mark Fleckham being the latest goalkeeper to go onto a very long list of keepers to have their best game ever against Everton, denying Beto 3 times in the first half, putting him off or making a save, and really Beto could have been on a hat-trick at half-time. We then end up ruining those chances. We go in at half-time 1-0 down. The 2 players in my match preview that I wrote for the Toffee Blues that I think everybody is aware of for Brentford in Mbeumo and Visa, and Mbeumo can't quite get there. There's an absolute calamity in the box. Again, lack of composure, tired legs, whatever you want to put it down to. And Visa wants it more, and he puts the ball past Jordan Pickford. It's 1-0 right on the stroke at half-time. Very little time for Everton to do anything about it, and very little in the way of changes that can be made on the bench as well. And as they come out for the second half, very much much of the same. Slow start for Brentford this time. It was a slow start for Everton in the first half, slow start for the home side in the second half. Of course, Jack Harrison's corner very nearly going in. A lot of fans were really quite surprised by that one. I think what I was more surprised about was that the referee didn't give a free kick, because it looked like Jesper Lindstrom was all over Mark Flecken. But anyway, didn't go in, 1-0, and it remained that way for much of the second half. We saw David Moyes make kind of two of his quite limited changes. He brought on Ashley Young and Tim Irabunam. It's great to see Irabunam back, by the way. Idrissa Gana Gueye getting a bit of an early start on his 10 days of rest, and Ashley Young coming on for Jesper Lindstrom, who didn't have his best game today. Again, another one that looked quite tired, that he'd kind of hit his limits. And really, just as it looked like we weren't going to get a goal, we conjure up a goal, a diving header that Big Dunk would have been proud of. A great delivery from Mykolenko, who's crossing today, and I think Everton's crossing in general, particularly in the second half, was really frustrating. Lots of balls straight to Flecken. No one really asking any questions of the Brentford defence. No one really giving Beto a ball to feet or a chance in the air in that second half. But Jake O'Brien, our makeshift right back, he came up the pitch, he gets on the end of that Mykolenko cross in some spectacular style. It's a really, really great diving header, and it equalises the game with around about 6 minutes to play plus stoppage time at that point. And then it really was refreshing to see, by the way, Everton feeling the confidence to go on and try and get a winner. It felt like we were pressing high. It felt like we were causing Brentford trouble in the final stages of the game. And then at the tale as old as time, the tale of the first half repeats itself in the second half. Beto has a chance, and once again, Mark Flecken makes a save. And at that point, it was pretty safe to say it was not Beto's day. And Jake O'Brien got man of the match on the TV by all accounts. I think it's a bit harsh on Mark Flecken, to be perfectly honest. I think he played incredibly well today. But who was your man of the match shout for Everton? Let us know in the comments below on this video. Was it Jake O'Brien? Was it somebody else? I think we can look and say Beto had an off day. I think one thing you can never knock Beto for is his effort. He always tries, he always gives it his all, and today his all just wasn't enough. But he's got to be in those positions to take those chances if you want to look at this slightly optimistically. And I think we need to look at this optimistically. We're on a fantastic run where we've not lost. We've played some tricky teams, or we've been in some tricky situations. To come back from a goal down today was particularly good to see. And now we've got 10 days where the players can get fit, the players can get some more time under the manager and his coaching staff. We've got to remember here, the longest gap I think they've had between games would be 7 days. So they've not had a long run to take on this new information under David Moyes, and they've done incredibly well to get the results they have. It's now time where he can get them in a different situation. He can nurse some injuries, hopefully get some players back on the training ground over the next few days, and we'll see where we're at when we come to the Wolves game. But once again, it's finished Brentford 1, Everton 1. Everton with another game without defeat, clutching a point from the jaws of defeat, and then maybe clutching a point from the jaws of victory right at the end. Let us know your thoughts, and keep it the Toffee Blues for all things Everton. I've been Harry Colley, and I'll see you again very soon.